Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. Okay, this is a video that is dedicated to the last ranger who is having some health issues now, has been hospitalized. I'm hoping by the time that this video is launched, he is out of the hospital and on his way to recovery. I know I'm a little late in the game here. The idea was to do an open tag of the 3 knives that you have most carried during the second quarter of 2023. So that would be April, May, June. And that's what I will be showing you. But because this is going to be rather boring if I show that to you, I thought I would also do one step beyond that. So Godspeed to you, Last Ranger. Hope you enjoy the video, and I hope the rest of you guys out there enjoy it as well. Now, first of all, the 3 knives I've carried most in the second quarter of the year, so March, April, June of 2023, is going to be no surprise to anybody. The Dragonfly. I've been carrying this knife basically since I bought it, so I've been carrying this knife for like the last 3 years. This one here, if you saw the my episode on that showed up on SMKW when I was down there visiting, I showed you this knife and the Dragonfly because this is a knife I carry all the time. This is a 5-inch toothpick, the one I have been carrying for probably the last 6 months or so. Is a Rough Rider Stoneworks Last Toothpick, and part of the reason I'm carrying it is to show you that yes, these stones actually will stay on the knife even if you pocket carry them. I've actually dropped this off of a shelf from about 4 or 5 feet down to a hardwood floor by accident, and once on purpose, and guess what, everything is still in place. 440B stainless steel blade. This is a knife I use quite often. I use it every day and I carry it every day. I like to use this one for cutting the vegetables and spreading peanut butter and all this other stuff, but I also will use it for a cutting of boxes and all that other stuff. This knife probably gets the most use. The Dragonfly, well, in many ways this is the one that gets the most use. I really like this one. It is in VG10. This knife is, this one I can actually say I did not start carrying until April. I actually bought this one in April. It was for a replacement for my Signature that I had been carrying. Before I was carrying the Signature, I was carrying another Midnight Manager, but it was a Midnight Manager with a red light. This one has the nice bright white light, much brighter than the red light. Little LED bulb, and this is on my keychain, and what you got on there is the little blade, the bottle opener with the little Phillips screwdriver, and also the wire stripper there. And then on the other side you have the nail file. I love a nail file with the little flathead screwdriver tip. I use this nail file at least once or twice a week. Always trying to fix a hangnail, so that gets used quite a bit. And also we have on the other side the ever popular scissors, and these get used probably once or twice a week as well. And one of the main reasons I do have this with me is because it has the little ink pen, and I use the ink pen quite often. The way to use the ink pen is you open up a blade on the opposite end, and then you can write with this fairly comfortably. An emergency pen, but also a useful pen. So those 3 are on my body all the time. There is a 4th knife that is my constant companion too, but I will obviously have to admit that it is not in my pocket all the time. It is frequently in my pocket, but it is not always in my pocket. And that is my Explorer. Sometimes if I am carrying the Explorer, I will either leave the toothpick or the Spyderco behind, and it's mainly because of whatever I happen to be doing that day. But the Explorer is usually in my work bag, just a small work bag, and I carry it because I really like the inline Phillips. And the reason I will swap it out is if I feel that on days when I know I'm going to be using a magnifying glass, like if I'm going to a flea market or something like that, I want the magnifying glass, and there's only so much room in the pockets before things get jumbled and bumping around and everything. I usually wear shorts, and I do not wear shorts with cargo pockets or anything like that, so I'm limited to the number of pockets I have, so I'll drop a knife because of that. But anyway, I really like the magnifying glass on this, and I think I've told people all of this before. And got another nice big pair of scissors here, which I really like, and also the eyeglasses here, the little screwdriver for the eyeglasses. I wear these, and I have used this on numerous occasions as well, so it's always a nice thing to have in emergency. And also, again, another writing utensil in here, and I have used this ink pen quite often, either just as is, like so, or the typical way of putting it underneath the what you can do is you can hold it in place by putting it underneath the corkscrew and dropping the corkscrew down on it. Usually it's easier if you do not have the screwdriver in, but you can do it with the screwdriver in too. Having difficulty here, like that, and you can write with it like that. Another place to drop it under is the parcel hook. This is an older Explorer, so it does not have the parcel hook. But to be honest, the little ink pen on here works better, or is easier to use than the one on the Explorer, at least in my opinion. So these four knives, already broke the rule because it was like the 3 most used. I cannot pick which one is the most used or the most carried because they are pretty much constant companions, and they have been constant companions for several years. This one, it's new, but it was replacing a very similar knife that was filling the same niche. So I always have a 5-inch toothpick on me. This is the one that I've been carrying for about the last 4 to 6 months. I really can't say how long. These two have been on me for years now. I don't change out my everyday carry very often. I will throw in another knife sometimes if it's new and I want to feel how it works and everything like that. But those are basically the knives I've been carrying forever. Or for a very, very long time. And so definitely cover that requirement of what were the 3 most used and most carried knives in the April, May, June of 2023. With that said, let's take a look at 3 knives I bought in April, May, and June. And first up is going to be another Victorinox. It's in the 111 millimeter frame, and this is the Cheese Master. I have the cheese knife. This is the Cheese Master. It's a little bit different. I do believe I've shown this on the channel before. It's a type of picnic knife. I collect picnic knives, and that's why I grabbed this one. And it was another one of those cheese knives that Victorinox makes, and I just wanted an example of each one. What you have on here is the cheese cutting blade, which is a pretty cool, interesting blade, and it is sharp enough for cutting cheese. And this is actually a little fork end kind of thing, so you could actually pick up a chunk of cheese. That's what it's for. It becomes redundant on this knife, however. This does not lock. This blade does not lock. The main blade on here is a half serrated spear point blade. This one does have the liner lock going in place, so it does lock in place. I kind of like the ones that don't have the lock. I like the slide lock better. Left-handed slide lock, which is a common complaint that people have with the Victorinox knives, that you have that left-handed liner lock. I don't have an issue with it. I'm left-handed. And then the third blade on here is actually a fondue fork and cap lifter. So you've got a cap lifter there and a fondue fork here. So that's for, you know, poking a hole or picking up a piece of bread or something like that, or whatever you want to dip into the fondue pot. So it's pretty cool. And then on the back side, you have just one back tool, which is the corkscrew for opening a bottle of wine. And you have the toothpick and the tweezers. And that's the Victorinox Cheese Master in 111 millimeter. So that knife, I believe I picked up in April. Let me scoot these guys over. So that was my April interesting pick of a knife. Let's move on to May. Now, May was a very exciting knife for me, and I was finally able to get one at a price that I wanted. I've been looking for this knife for quite some time. I do not know if I have actively shown it on the channel yet or not. But this is a Majerchen Captain in white smooth bone, and this is in the Gen 2 series, so Generation 2. It is not in perfect shape, as you can see here. There's a scratch right there. This had been used. It's a previously owned knife, but I really didn't care. I got it for a song of a price on eBay and just could not pass on it because I have been wanting a white smooth bone Majerchen Captain's knife. I've got a couple other Captain's knives. Well, let's take a look at those real quick. I should show the other cheese knives too. Okay, a little discombobulated here. I hope the Last Ranger won't mind. This was probably the first cheese knife. Yeah, this is the first cheese knife I bought. If I believe it was, at least. In any case, you notice it's got the red or the gray slide here. And this is the one that the Victorinox made after the success of the original Käse Messer, which was made for SwitzerlandCheese.com, which was, I guess, a large group of Swiss cheesemakers or something like that. It's like the other thing in Switzerland, you know, Victorinox knives, cheese, and chocolate. They need to come out with a chocolate knife. Anyway, you got the regular cheese blade here, and then the main blade, also serrated blade, but it's serrated more than the later one, it looks like. This looks like it's about 3/4 of the way. And you notice you got the gray slide there. And you pull back on the slide and then the blade can close. I like the slides better. I think it's a little more novel. I know most people prefer the liner lock, and they claim that the slide has more likely to fail and everything else. Maybe that's true. I don't know. I've not had an issue with it. In any case, this was one of the cheese knives I picked up. Notice it's only got 2 blades. It doesn't have the fondue fork. And then later I was able to find an original Käse Messer that was made for Switzerland.com. You notice it just has the corkscrew here and a toothpick here, but no tweezer. This one has the tweezer. Also notice the difference in the Swiss cross there. Blade-wise, same blades, but you have the listing of who it is made for and everything. And then you got SwitzerlandCheese.com on the back here. And notice it has the red slide. That is the big difference between the ones that were made under license for SwitzerlandCheese.com and the ones made for Victorinox. That's the easiest identifier from this side. The easiest identifier from the other side, obviously, is the different cross that you have on there. So those 2 knives were the cheese knives, and then obviously, as long as I'm showing what is essentially a picnic knife, I also have the other picnic knife, which I have in olive wood, which is just a really cool knife. And one of my favorite Swiss Army knives with a proper corkscrew with the 2-stage lever. You've got the bottle opener there, the label cutter here, and a really awesome blade here. Look at that nice blade there. And the blade has a liner lock, and it looks like, how in the world do you close it? Well, you close it by pushing on the shield. You push the shield which releases the liner lock, and then you can close the blade. All right, there, all the cheese knives, picnic knives, all that's over with. Let's get back to the Majerchen and my white smooth bone captain's knife, which you can't find anymore. I don't believe they make it anymore. I think they make one in white G10 still, but they don't make it in white smooth bone. Now this Majerchen Captain is in the Gen 2 series or second generation, whichever way you want to call it. The easy way to identify the second generation is by the small bail that they have down here. A lot of people don't care too much for this bail because they claim it's easy for it to come off, and I guess there might be some truth to that, but it does work. The difference between the second generation and the first generation, though, is really the locking mechanisms and also a few other features that you see there. As you can see here, this is an original first generation. Notice the difference in the bail back here and the way the handle is pinned. This is I believe it is onyx, not onyx, ebony. Black ebony in the wood there, and you've got the stainless steel bolsters going on, and then typical 3/4 scallop blade or serrated blade, whichever way you want to call it, with the tip being just a straight edge, and then you have the shackle key built into the blade there, and this blade locks. Unlike what you have on like your Camillus knives and everything, the blade actually locks as well. And the release for the blade is the bail or the lanyard ring here. You push on that and the blade unlocks and you can close it. And then you have the marlin spike on the back. It also locks using the same bail. Pull back on the bail, you break the lock, and you can close the blade. And this was the first generation. Very popular, very heavy. This is also very heavy. These are not lightweight knives, but they did make a lightweight on the Captain's frame, and that is this knife, which is the Majerchen Nightlife. It is very similar to the Captain, except it is now using a polymer handle. And notice the 4 screws here for screws. That's because this is a light knife. There's a little red light in there. You can change the battery, and you have a pocket clip now on the knife. Notice the first generations do not have a pocket clip. It is a pocket clip very similar to what you would see with Spyderco knives, and the way with the early Spyderco clippy tools or clip-it knives, you've got that polymer clip on there. Otherwise, it functions the same way. You know, lock, push, break. Same thing with the marlin spike. And like I said, they're not small knives. They're pretty big. The second generation works a little bit differently, though. And a few things you're going to see right away is now you see everything is torqued together. See the torque screws? Torque screws are actually holding the white smooth bone in place on both sides. You also have a non-reversible pocket clip that is tip down carry only, or tip up carry if you're looking at the marlin spike. Pretty decent pocket clip, and again, torque screws all around. But blade locks, and now you see you have a liner lock, a more traditional liner lock going on. Notice though that the liner lock is not into the bone. The liner lock is actually separated away from the bone. And on the other side, the same thing on the opposite side. So you do have the bone there. Now most of it It's only where the liner lock is, and that is to actually keep the blade a little thin and everything. But that could be problematic, and that might be why they stopped making it in bone and switched to a white G10, because the bone can obviously break. So you just don't find them that often in the white smooth bone. I believe the white G10 is still around, but I wanted one in white smooth bone because of the way I collect. It definitely has some issues. I can see why a person would say, geez, what's going to prevent that bone from breaking or chipping? And that's a legitimate question. G10's a little stronger. It's going to hold up a little bit better than bone. But I'm not going to be sailing with this or anything. I just wanted it because, well, it's white smooth bone and it's just classic. If they were to do it again, I would tell them, hey, put a liner underneath there and then put the bone on top of the liner so you got a little bit better support. I don't know if the bone broke a lot or not, but I just wanted one, so I had to get it, and I'm happy to have it, despite the problem that they have with it, with that way the liner locks are set and everything. Any case, this was the May knife, and then finally, what was my June knife? Well, it wasn't this knife, but I wanted to show you this because this is the Crew. That's the difference in size between the Captain and Crew knife. This one is about 3 3/8 inches. This one's about 5 inches. This one's a whole lot lighter to carry. This one's made in Bubinga wood. A little bit cheaper and everything else too, but there you have the Captain and Crew, two different sizes that Meyerchen makes in their Marlinspike knives. I might have to get the Crew in white smooth bone or white micarta or white G10, whatever it is. That might be cool too. Anyway, let's get back to June. What was my June knife? I'm really discombobulated. I forgot to leave that knife out. Anyway, here it is. Frost Comanche Bigfoot, 4160 German steel. And why did I grab it? Look at that. It's in Frostwood again. And apparently they're selling these again on Cutlery Corner Network. And I just saw it and it's like, man, that's kind of like, what's that other knife they're always selling? It's the Choctaw. I was like, well, it's kind of like the Choctaw, but it's even bigger than a Choctaw. And it's like, I just got to grab it. So I went and grabbed it. I found it for a really good bargain of a price on eBay. It was dirty as could be. I had to polish up the brass on here. I guess people don't realize that all you got to do is do a little bit of cleaning and that knife might sell for a whole lot more. Polished up really good. You can see that it has a stainless steel pivot pin there. Stainless steel pin back here too. You can barely see it in the brass there, but really nice brass bolsters. You got the brass liners going on there, and just a big chunky knife. I mean, it's a big one, and it's got a really cool looking blade. They definitely pushed the 4160 German steel, despite the knife being made in Pakistan, but it is a pretty solid, well-made knife. Frost Cutlery. Yeah. If you try real hard, you can get that blade to break a bit, but really there's no real true wobble in the blade. Maybe a hint. Pretty good lockup on it. And just a big chunky monkey. I just liked it. I mean, well, it's the biggest of them. Look at that. Much bigger than that. This thing comes in at, where is it at? Where's my thing? Here it is, way over here. Yeah, 5.5 inches. Over 5.5 inches, really. A little more like 5 5/8 inches. And I think if I have it all the way open, what do you say? 9 3/4 inches overall, with a blade that is 4 inches and 3 3/4 inches of a cutting edge on there. So it's a big knife. Feels kind of comfortable in the hand. yeah, I feel pretty good in the hand, actually. Um, my hand isn't big enough for it. Well, actually, I guess I can slip it up there when I'm trying. And you can also choke up on it if you wanted to. It feels a little funky doing that, but I don't know. I saw it. I saw it, I wanted it, and I picked it up. And it was a relatively low price, so it was just fun. And it's in Frostwood. So there you have it, though. There's my contribution to the 3 knives for April, May, and June. These are the knives I actually have been carrying in April, May, and June. This is a knife I bought in April. This is a knife I bought in May. This is a knife I bought in June. And, well, Last Ranger, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're feeling better. If not, Godspeed. I wish you the best, and just hang in there. With that said, I will let you guys go and talk to you again soon. Let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with Tobias. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.